First of all, under what circumstances did you leave the BBC?
I wasn't sacked and I wasn't lured to Great British Hits or whatever it's called. I left because I'd been doing the programme for 46 years and we'd reached our 500th edition and I thought, time to go. But the actual prompt to leave was COVID because we weren't able to do it in the way we'd done it for 46 years with a studio audience. So that was the beginning of it.
Vanessa Feltz has said just recently in an interview with Lorraine on ITV that once you turn 60 at the Beeb, you become invisible. Was that your experience?
Well, it wasn't, and I'm 78 now, so when I...
A very young 78.
Retired, thank you very much, Mark. When I retired, I said to the BBC, I want to end the show. So I wasn't fired. And, in fact, they wanted me to stay on.
So that's right. Does your story buck the trend, though? If you look at what's happened at Radio 2, it seems an obsession with younger listeners is, A, offending the public because they're actually losing audience share.
Yes.
And they're losing great talent like Ken Bruce, who shouldn't be leaving the organisation. The biggest show on UK radio.
If not Europe.
Yeah, correct. I've heard that,
Well, I feel that the BBC is ageist. This pursuing the young audience, which is what they seem to want, I think is completely misguided. In a few years, I'm told that over half the population will be over 50. The average age of a Radio 4 listener is 55. So who is going to play to these people if you're just chasing after the younger and younger audience?
That's right, and these people have been paying the licence fee for decades.
Yes, but also it's more than that. My show, which really grew out of light entertainment, as it was called in the 1970s, rather like a parlour game, it doesn't fit well in the media environment of the moment. But I was, playing to these older listeners, if you like. Yeah. But the pressure on me was to go for the younger ones.
Do you think the BBC is dismissive of or even ashamed by its older listeners and viewers?
Well, I suppose you could say that. But they are infected with this, what I would call positive discrimination. And it doesn't only apply to age, it applies to all sorts of other things like diversity and even disabled. I was lent on very heavily towards the end of my programme to include people who are disabled. Now, the reason for that was, they said, 20% of the population is disabled, whatever that may mean.
Sure.
But the next point is that they thought that the guests who appeared on programmes, who appeared on radio and television, should somehow reflect the audience out there. I don't see there's any need for that. And I had a wonderful email from a woman who said that she spoke with an estuary accent, southeastern London accent. And she said, I speak with an estuary accent, but I don't want to hear the news read by somebody with an estuary accent. And I think this really applies right across the board. Just because you're disabled, do you really get anything from watching a disabled person on the TV or on the radio?
It's also this idea that young viewers and listeners want to have young broadcasters. Well, 8.5 million people currently listen to Ken Bruce's radio show. I would conjecture that some of them are young people who just think this guy is very talented and enjoy his show.
Absolutely so. And you can't tell, really, how old he is on the radio. No. And he sounds exactly the same to me as he
Why do you think he left? Let's indulge in some gossip, some tittle-tattle, some speculation. Well, I want to be fair to the BBC, OK? First of all, they're going for this diversity because the BBC wants to represent the whole country in its output, and they will defend that, and the BBC is still watched by millions every day and listened to. So, it's a globally renowned product, so I don't want to attack the BBC too much. But Ken Bruce, he shouldn't be leaving the BBC. Why is he? I'm told his salary was 400 grand. Well, his rival on The Breakfast Show, Zoe Ball, who has fewer listeners, is on $1 million. OK, so is that part of the problem? And is that ageism? Because I don't think that would stand up in court, that a guy with a bigger show than his colleague is on half the money.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's absolutely bumming.
Is it ageism?
I think it's the way it's evolved. You know, he's been there since 1973 or for whatever.
Why is Zoe Ball, and by the way, great talent that she is, but she's got a smaller audience than a man on half her salary?
Yeah. Well, I expect...
He happens to be 71.
I expect they may be trying to adjust things, you see, because the BBC has always been under
Out with
attack.
the old, in with the new.
Yeah, but also raising salaries, making sure that females were paid as much as, if not more, than men. I mean, this has been going on
Perhaps
for a very long time.
Perhaps he should sue for sex discrimination.
Well, he could do that. But I don't think he wants to. This wonderful offer came to him from Greatest Hits Radio, which is very, very successful. He won't get quite the same size of audience, but good luck to him.
Yeah.
I take my hat off to all these people who went off. It's just that I didn't. I just retired.
Rapid fire. Is the BBC politically neutral?
Should be.
A damning answer there, reading between the lines. And is the licence fee, does it continue to be justified? Is it long for this world, the licence fee?
I don't think it is, but I'm not terribly sure what the alternative is or should be.
Nigel, what a treat to have a bona fide broadcasting legend in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Do come back and see us again soon. Now, a BBC spokesperson has said Ken Bruce explained his reasons for leaving Radio 2 in his quote and on air. We respect his decision and wish him the very best of luck in the future, as he's been a much-loved part of the Radio 2 family. Radio 2 is hugely proud of having a range of presenters from their 30s to 80 years old on the station, an age range which hasn't changed in decades. In fact, Ken Bruce started presenting on Radio 2 at the age of 33. Radio 2 will continue to be a multi-generational radio station that serves a 35-plus audience, a target audience, which also hasn't changed in decades, with listeners tuning in each week to our brilliant range of programmes hosted by some of the UK's best-loved presenters. We continue to play a wide variety of the best music from the past 7 decades, including from the 60s and 70s.